Right, how Khamzat Chimaev has ended up turning into his old mate, Darren Till. When Chimaev burst onto the scene, it was like something out of Dana White's wet dreams. Fighting back to back, weeks apart, jumping up and down in weight classes. It was crazy. He looked like he was unstoppable. Before he'd even fought a name, people were already talking about double champ or even triple champ in his future. The hype on this man was insane, and everyone was on the train. I can't remember the last time that everybody was all on board about the same prospect this much. People believed in him, more than Anthony Smith believes in himself. It was all going great. But then, Darren Till got smashed by blonde Derek Brunson. It was rougher than a John Jones marriage counselling session. Till looked absolutely useless in the grappling exchanges, and it was his fourth recent loss. He looked so shit that a number of UFC fighters publicly offered to help him out on his wrestling. Charles Oliveira, Michael Bisping, and Khamzat Chimaev. Desperate to try and save his career, Darren actually accepted Khamzat's offer and went over to Sweden. When the footage of Khamzat and Till training together came out, the MMA community went nuts. We loved it. We lapped it up. Khamzat then went on to make Li Jingliang look like a fucking children's toy. And off the back of all of that buzz, Chimaev and Till established the name Smash Bros. Till didn't fuck around and jumped straight on the merch and crypto tokens. The two then seemed to go on a worldwide media tour and were getting up to all sorts of mischief. Khamzat seemed to have gotten captivated by the easy attention, and it seemed like he'd taken a few too many notes from Till's media presence. Chimaev ramped up the Twitter call-outs, and the fans were eating it up. Walking into the cage at UFC 273 to fight Gilbert Burns was probably, looking back, the peak Khamzat moment. Sitting on the cage with Till hanging over there with him. The fight, though, didn't go as many would have thought. Burns giving Chimaev an extremely tough test. You could even argue beating Khamzat. Go on, load up the comments. His cardio looked suspect. He had trouble staying composed and completely threw out his game plan. Whilst many fans were still very much on the Chimaev Express, he definitely lost his invincible aura. Dana, in a desperate bid to stack hype back on his potential superstar, served Chimaev up a softball in a retiring Nate Diaz. Even though the fans saw straight through this bullshit, Chimaev managed to mess it up by missing weight by nearly 8 pounds, causing the whole card to switch around. He did still get that sweet opportunity for a hype up by fighting Kevin Holland. Holland, who hadn't been preparing for a wrestler, plus not previously showing the best takedown defence, was still a very generous matchup and high profile. Some people swallowed it and others weren't convinced due to the matchup and circumstances. Khamzat then didn't fight for over a year. Seeing Khamzat in the cage had become almost as rare as seeing John Jones wanting to fight an actual contender. The reason for this time off was not made clear. There was a number of conspiracy theories about this, including him riding out a secret drug ban, troubles travelling due to an ever-increasing connection to the warlord Ramzan Kadyrov, or that John Jones is secretly gay. Sorry, no, that's a different one. It's now pretty much accepted that Khamzat only really fights in the Middle East. Whatever the reason is, it didn't stop Chimaev calling out everyone on the roster. He was naming more names than Epstein's list. It didn't matter what weight class they were in. If someone got a good win or a bit of attention, Khamzat be straight on Twitter, telling them he'd see them soon. Among MMA fans, this became a joke. When it was finally time for him to fight again, sadly, Paulo Costa, who he was set to fight, got pulled out by the doctors because of a staph infection. The UFC had to quickly find a replacement matchup, and Kamaru Usman stepped up. This wasn't ideal for anyone, for many reasons. Firstly, on such short notice, this wasn't going to tell us anything about where Chimaev stacks up. Plus, Chimaev having such a difficult time with Gilbert, who was at one point a lightweight, fighting another smaller guy without time to properly build up, was far from ideal. They did fight, and it was another underwhelming performance. The first round, Khamzat was extremely aggressive, but then he seemed to just run out of puff. Another fight that he could have arguably lost. Not a good look, although in fairness, it was reported that he broke his hand at the end of the first round, in which case it kind of neutralises that fight in terms of like bad or good. He'll be fighting Bobby Knuckles in Saudi at the end of June this year. If it all goes right, this should be the first genuine, no excuses, real high-level test at middleweight for Chimaev. After this, there's no more bollocks, we'll know where he's at for sure. Now, like Darren Till, Khamzat was a massively hyped prospect. Like Till, he was probably rushed a little to the higher ranked fights. When he started spending time with Till, he seemed to adopt his social media antics, but unlike Till, Chimaev still has the opportunity to right the ship. Can Chimaev break out this pattern and regain his momentum? Can he bring back the gravity to his relentless call-outs? In a few weeks, I guess we'll find out. Anyway, if you like this video, give us a sub, check out this playlist of recent bangers. See you next time.